first question is, how many books are you planning on reading in 2026? 50. Last year my reading goal was 67, I believe, or 68, and I read 79 books, so I was way above my reading goal. So this year I'm kind of like lowballing it, because it is not a realistic expectation for myself to keep reading more and more and more. So what I used to do is, I used to pick my new goal one book higher than I managed to read the year before. So the logical thing to do would have been 80. But there's no way maybe I will be able to read 80 books, but there's no way I will set that expectation for myself. Because reading is supposed to be fun, and I don't want to put a number on top of it, so I'm picking a number that I will most definitely be able to hit. So I picked 50. Do a book that you are likely to reread this year. I have been planning on rereading this series for a long time now. I read it in 2023/24, I think, and it's the Lockwood and Co. series by Jonathan Stroud. This is part 2. I read part 1 in January already. I love this series so much. This takes place in an alternate reality where ghosts are real and are a danger to society, and children are the only ones who are able to see them and fight them. This is a children's series. I first read it when I was already an adult, but I love it so much, so I'm planning on rereading it. And I think I'll just keep tapping on this book, because I like how it sounds. 3. A priority read on your 2026 TBR. The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling. I started this in November, I believe, and I read like 20 pages and then I put it to the side because I couldn't get into it, and I wanted to prioritize other books over it, but I definitely, desperately want to finish it because I think I'll love it. I just haven't gotten to the interesting part yet. 4. An author you won't be reading more books from this year. And that, sadly, will probably be Sarah Elarifi. I can't talk today. She's the author of the Final Strive trilogy, and she has recently, I think in 2024, so not too recently, published the first book from her second trilogy, Feybound. And I loved the Final Strive. I think I've talked about this a million times already. But the rest of the trilogy was such a disappointment. So much so that I put Feybound at the very bottom of my TBR. And since the name says it, it's about Fae, and I don't like Fae books, I don't think I'll read it. So unless she publishes something that has nothing to do with either of the trilogies she's already written, I'm not going to read anything else from her this year. I still love the way she writes. I'm just not interested in the stuff she puts out at the moment, which is a shame. 5. Something new you want to read. Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. In fact, I finished it yesterday, but I think it deserves to be named here because at the time of being tagged, I still hadn't read it. If you're on the fence about reading it, I would definitely recommend it. someone who has read both of these books recommended I start with Book Lovers, but I'm not too sure. Normally I don't like to add multiple books by the same author if I have not read anything from that author, because if I don't like that writing style, I'll have to take all of them off my TBR. But they both sounded so interesting that I decided to put both of them on my TBR. So we'll see. I think I'm not the biggest romance person, and also not the biggest spice person at all. But I think I'll like her books because I've heard really good things about them. 7 most anticipated 2026 book release. I used to keep track of all the trilogies I'd started and all the book series I was still in the middle of. If there were any like new releases, I used to have a list of new releases I was waiting for. But I don't think I have any open trilogies at the moment. Oh yes, I think this year the third part of Lee Bardugo's Ninth House trilogy is supposed to be published. So I just looked it up recently. The first part was Ninth House, the second part was Hellbent, and the third is Deadbeat, I think. And I think it's supposed to come out at some point this year. And I loved Ninth House. It was my #1 book of 24. Hellbent was good, but it didn't compare to the first part. So I'm really excited to see how the trilogy will play out. A bookish goal for 2026. To complete my physical TBR. I have at the moment 17 unread books on my shelves out of 200 something, like 220, 210. It's a low number in the 200s. So 17 is not too bad, but there are some books that have been on my shelf since the beginning of 24, and the beginning of, or in the middle of 23. So I have definitely set the goal for myself to complete that this year. In fact, I am planning to kind of switch up the way I read. Normally I just pick out the books off my shelf the way I want to read them, and then obviously I buy new ones every once in a while. But this year I decided I would pick 4 books at the beginning of each month that were my TBR for this month. So for January I picked The Starving Saints. I have not read that one. Atmosphere. Everyone on this train is a suspect, and the first part of Lockwood & Co. And for February, I'm filming this at the end of January, I should say, so I haven't picked out the books of February. Why is that so difficult? But I will definitely put this book at the second part of Lockwood & Co. The Starving Saints, because I have not read it yet. And this was a recent buy. The Isle of the Gods. And I think the 4th book is going to be one on my e-reader, but I'm not sure what the 4th book will be yet. So this is by Amy Kaufman. It's in German, but I got this for €5 because it's a Mängelexemplar, or in English a defective item, because I don't think you can see it in this lighting, but there are some dents on the bottom. No, you can't even, maybe like this, you can see that there are some dents, and also the cover is kind of a little damaged here. But other than that, it's totally fine. And so I got it for €5 instead of 20. And I think I'll put this for February. Yeah, and once I've completed the 4 books of the month, then I'm free to choose whatever I want. But in January, I did read 2 books that were not on my original TBR for the month. So, okay, way too long of an explanation. 9, a book that's been on your TBR you probably won't ever read. There's 200 books on my TBR, so I cannot name just one single book that I will never get to, because let's be honest, I probably will not get to the majority of my TBR. But there's a lot of YA fantasy on there. I do read fantasy a lot, and I also read YA fantasy, case in point. But a lot of these books I probably will never read because they're very similar. And yeah, so nothing personal against these books, it's just there's only so much of the same kind of formula that you can read. 10, a series you want to read this year. Now I could name Look and Go again, but everyone has been talking about the Hunger Games and like a palette of songbirds and snakes and stuff. And I did read the Hunger Games when I was a teenager, but only the first book, and then I abandoned the series. So I want to read the original Hunger Games trilogy this year, and then depending on if I like it or not, then I'll continue or I won't. But everyone's been talking about it, and I think the peer pressure finally got to me. I'm kind of keeping my eye out for a pretty special edition or something. I don't know why, I just feel like buying a pretty one. Or like buying like all 3 books in one set or something. 11, your auto-buy authors going into 2026. I don't have any. I've never had auto-buy authors. I read a lot of books by Lee Bardugo, but only because I was interested in them. And I think it's like a Rule of Wolves or something that she also wrote, which I will probably never read because I'm just not interested in it. Maybe Taylor Jenkins Reid, but like she has some older books that I'm not interested in at all. So there are some authors where I definitely follow what they do and I check out every book that they publish, but I don't buy something just because of the author. I don't know, just not my thing. 12, a book to show adaptation you're excited about this year. Nothing. I don't think I've read any books that were made into a series, at least not that I'm aware of. I think I would want to watch The Housemaid at some point, or maybe like obviously read it first and then if it's good then watch it. And despite not having read part 2 or 3, I would want to know what Fourth Wing looks like on screen. But I'm not that into like series and movies and stuff. I don't follow the publishing aspect. So even if I did read something that has been made into a show or a movie, I probably wouldn't know. Although I watched Maxton Hall with a friend of mine, with Mabel, with my best friend Mabel. You've met her. And it started as a joke. We have not read the books. It started as a joke, but then somewhere around the middle of season 1 we got deadly serious about it, and now we're mad. And Mabel has already ordered the 3rd part to read it because we can't wait for the 3rd season to come out. Okay, let me take another book because this hardcover is kind of making weird sounds. Okay. 13, a sequel you're anticipating. I had to go through my 2025 reads for that. I don't think I've read that many series, or I started that many Wenshao, I think she's called. The Scorpion and the Night Blossom, I think. Yeah. And despite not really loving it, I am curious to see how it ends. And I think the second part, which is called I wrote it down. The Dragon and the Sun Lotus comes out this year. So I am anticipating it. I just don't know if the anticipation is positive or not. 14 bookish things you are leaving in 2026. I'm trying to leave Goodreads challenges in 2026. It was nice doing the Goodreads challenges last year, but this year my focus is, or I want my focus to be more on quality than quantity. And so if a Goodreads challenge includes a book that I already own, of course I can push that to the top of the TBR. But I'm trying to step away from reading books simply because Goodreads tells me to. And I've made the decision to only participate in a challenge if I already have a book that's on that list, or if I already want to read it. So not only physical TBR, but if the book has been on my radar, then I'll read it. But if I don't know a single book from the selection that Goodreads gives me, then I'm not participating. So far it's going good, I think. I think until like the end of March there's 12 challenges that you can do. And despite not even trying to achieve any of them, I've already got 6. So maybe I don't know, we'll see. By the way, this is the book I'm currently reading, which was also on my January TBR. 15. What to expect from this account. So I don't know if I'll do, or I don't know how often I will do monthly reading wrap-ups. I try not to do it every month because again that sets an expectation for myself that I don't want to set for myself. And I could do like a TBR of every month, but then again I'm only picking 4 books for myself. Maybe I could do that as shorts. Yeah, so occasional reading wrap-ups, obviously. I'm planning on a shorts series with book recommendations. Yeah, and I think a book haul or 2 might be coming your way. But like in the second half of the year probably, because I want to complete my physical TBR first. Maybe I could do a video with all the books that are on my physical TBR and talk about why I have not read them yet. Let me know if you'd be interested in that. Oh, there's a hair on my mic. 16. How has your reading taste evolved from last year? So I discovered horror as one of my new favorite genres. And I read a lot of books in that genre. And a lot of my favorite books from last year were horror books. But in general, I think my reading taste, or I branched out in a lot of different directions last year. Also partly because of the Goodreads challenges, so they are good for something if you want to discover new things. They're very good for that. But last year I think I read a lot of books because I wanted to achieve something by reading them. So for example, I wanted to complete a Goodreads challenge. And this year, the only goal I have for myself is that I want to read books that I enjoy and also focus more on like the books Yeah, and I definitely read a lot less fantasy last year than I thought I would. So this year I'm planning on reading more fantasy again. Okay, book 17 booktube creators who inspire you. Basically everyone who puts out monthly reading wrap-ups. That's very inspiring to me. But then in particular Freya's ASMR, because she, like, every month she does these like fairy loot hauls. So I really am really jealous is a mean word, but I definitely admire her collection of pretty books. And I think she reads a lot of books each year, so that's something like anyone who reads like more books than me, especially if you've read like 100 books and more. How do you do it? And they're not active anymore, I believe, but I think I mentioned them in every other video I do about books, but ASMR bookishness, because the things that they've said about the books they read are always very thoughtful, and I think from all of the creators I watch, our taste is probably the most similar, because a lot of booktube people read a lot of romance, which is fine, it's like great, but that's not a genre that I focus on. And so sometimes it's a bit difficult for me to like take recommendations from YouTube with me, because I'm not gonna read 10 romance books in a month. But ASMR bookishness consistently got me to add books to my TBR, because I thought like, oh, I definitely would like that, oh, and I would love that. So I think, yeah, that's also very inspiring to me. 18, something you want to say to anyone wanting to start a bookish account? I would say start with what you have, I guess, in the same vein of like me rereading the books I already own and like completing my physical TBR. When you start a bookish channel, you're gonna see people pushing like huge book hauls in your face, like I bought 20 books or I read 20 books a month, and like here's like my huge TBR, and here are like 23 differently colored tabs I use to keep track of my reading, and like this and that and that. And I think it can be very overwhelming if you feel like you have to compete with all of these people, and like you don't read that much and you don't have that much money to buy new books, and like they all do so much and I can't compete with that. Don't worry. There's people who own like 1,000 books and have only read 10 of them, and there's people who own 20 books and have read every single one 10 times, and one is not better than the other. So don't worry if you don't feel like you read that much, or if you don't buy that much. If you want to do bookish content, just share what you do. If you have a library card, you can check out new books each month. Or like if you only read 3 books a month, or if you only read 1 book a month, that's completely fine. You can just sit down and talk about what you did, what you read, maybe what you bought, what you rented, what you checked out, what you borrowed from a friend. So don't feel like you need to push quantity over quality. There's no not enough, just do it. Me, I would rather watch someone who's genuine and who maybe doesn't buy that many books a month, or maybe doesn't read that many books a month, but if they're genuine and if I like their thoughts, then I'm much more likely to follow than if someone just puts out haul after haul after haul. what do you think about a book after you've read it than before. I don't know what YouTube, like what the algorithm prefers. I think it might be Halls. But I want to know what you thought about the book. And obviously you can do whatever you want, but I guess I just want to say, don't feel pressured into doing things that don't feel genuine for you. Yeah. Okay. Then I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you again to Lullaby Fairy ASMR for tagging me. And I don't think you're asleep just yet, but I hope you fall asleep quickly and that you wake up tomorrow feeling refreshed and full of energy. And I'll see you in my next video. Good night. Good night. Good night. Bye bye. Thank you to my lovely, lovely channel members. Debbie Perry, Fran Wagner, 6A02, Elegy, Call Me Ash, Stella Stallone, Blutzan Pygmalion, and Donata for their support. Thank all of you so much.